Today's story is called The House with Chicken Legs. You can listen or you can read along. Hello, my name's Margaret. Welcome to my channel Learn English with me. Today we're having a listening and reading session. This story may contain violence or elements that may be scary for younger readers. Do not open the door if you are sensitive to such stories. This story is suitable for ages 8 or above. Beyond the 9 kingdoms, in a faraway realm, beyond the fiery river, there lives the Baba Yaga. Vasilisa hesitated at the fence. It was made of human bones. Skulls on spikes leered from the top of the gate. They glowed from within like tiny, luminous flames. Behind it towered a tiny hut, perched on chicken legs. It was slowly spinning as though it was scanning the ground for soft, fresh things, as though it was hunting. Vasilisa clutched her doll tightly. It was the Japanese doll her mother had given her before she died, and she called it Rubini. "Rubini," she whispered, "do I dare go in?" Rubini blinked. Its button eyes, its tiny doll voice was thin as bells on a winter's wind. "Look at your fingers," it said. "They are bloody from all the weaving your stepmother and stepsisters made you do. Now they force you to bring a lamp so that they can continue to work all night. I think they are cruel to you and you ought to run away. But I am only a doll." Vasilisa stood and thought about running away, but where would she go? The forest was dark and filled with creatures that would think nothing of eating her. Her father was away for ever-long periods, and there was no one in the world to help her. And she could not go home without the lamp, because her stepsisters needed it. Trembling, she put her hand to the gate, but the door swung open before she could raise a hand to it. What a horror! An elderly woman stood staring at her. Her face was withered and brown as an apple left in the sun. When she opened her mouth to laugh at the trembling Vasilisa, the girl saw her mouth was filled with iron teeth. She suddenly knew that her stepmother and stepsisters had sent her to face the fearsome Baba Yaga. The old woman stood there. Her eyes were wicked and amused. "So it's a lamp you want, is it? From the Baba Yaga? I presume you have been sent here. No one comes here of their own free will." Vasilisa held Rubini tightly. She held it tightly to her chest. "I need a light to weave for my stepmother." "What are they doing now?" Baba Yaga asked. "They are sleeping," Vasilisa replied. "Nobody needs a light when they are sleeping," Baba Yaga said. "No, it's for me," Vasilisa said. "I am to weave while they are asleep." "Why do you have to weave?" Baba Yaga asked. Vasilisa replied, "I am the only one who knows how to do it. And besides, I am too poor and ugly to get by in the world. My stepmother has told me this. Weaving helps me pay my way." Nothing could have been further from the truth, and Baba Yaga could see it as much as anyone. The old crone looked cunning. Come and stay in my little hut and get light until the morning. Frightening Vasilisa obeyed. As she passed a birch tree, it looked like it was going to scratch her. Don't touch the maid, he said to the tree. It was I who brought her. After muttering a few words, the house on chicken legs leaned down and opened its door. A dog could hear them approaching and barked. The dog showed its teeth to Vasilisa. Don't bite the maid, Baba Yaga said. It is I who brought her. When they entered the house, it jolted from one side to another and stood once more on its chicken legs. Vasilisa saw they were now higher than the highest tree. An old grizzled cat was startled by this. It leapt from the shadows to scratch at Vasilisa. Don't scratch the maid. It was I who brought her here, Baba Yaga said. You see, the Baba Yaga said, you cannot escape me. My cat will scratch you, my dog will bite you, and the birch tree will scratch out your eyes. Vasilisa looked out the window and blinked away her tears. Baba Yaga saw this and cried, Let's eat. She clapped her hands. Maid, bring out the food. A maid with heavy eyebrows emerged, bearing dish after dish of food. Baba Yaga fell upon this feast with great delight, chewing, slurping and moaning with pleasure at each of the flavours. Vasilisa gripped Ribony and did not eat until forced, and only then nibbled a little pie. She also, on the Baba Yaga's urging, put a bread roll in her pocket. After eating, Baba Yaga brought out a large bag. Since you don't mind working here, here is something you can do tonight. This bag is filled with peas and poppy seeds. Separate them before morning, or else I will eat you. Vasilisa stared at the bag, not knowing what to do. She thought this would be impossible to complete the task. Ribony, who will help me? She whispered to her doll. Ribony's eyes shone like buttons and made a secret call that only small loved things can make. All of the birds of the air heard the sounds and came to assist. They settled on the windowsill. Vasilisa let them in and they got to work, sorting out the peas and poppy seeds until they lay in 2 large piles. When they had finished, Vasilisa thanked them and promised to help them in return if ever she was able to do it. Baba Yaga woke the next morning. Oh, I see you found some helpers, she said when she saw the piles. But you could have fixed the problem yourself. Silently, Baba Yaga lit the stove. Vasilisa gazed as the flames hit the glass. Vasilisa was not quite sure she would be eaten because Baba Yaga knew she did not sort the seeds alone. So I think she believes that that fire is for her. Cooking in a fire. The Baba Yaga sat alone at the table, drinking hot chocolate. After an hour, Vasilisa could not stay silent any longer. Will you kill me now? The Baba Yaga stared at her. The owlish eyes seemed to be laughing at her. You have angered me, but now I'm going away. I will roast you this evening. Baba Yaga mounted a mortar and pestle and flew over the trees. Vasilisa watched her. She would be roasted tonight. How could she have possibly solved the pea and poppy seed puzzle on her own? Perhaps you could have told her it was an impossible task, Ribony whispered. As the sun began to sink below the trees, she knew she was doomed. She decided to take her chance to escape. Help me, she said to the black-browed maid. "Say the words and I will make the house descend, and I will give you my silk handkerchief." The black-browed maid had never had a silk handkerchief, and the house lurched down and she opened the door. As she flew down the garden path, the cat and the dog threw themselves at her, but she threw the bread roll from her pocket. The birch tree made to scratch her eyes out, but she tied it with her hair ribbon, and it let her pass. She snatched at the glowing skull from the gate and used it as a light through the darkness of the forest. Arriving home, her stepsisters and stepmum were angry. "What took you so long, you stupid girl?" they said. They took the skull and set it down in the room. They made her work all evening, and they went to bed. The skull lamp was very soon diminished. It faded, and Vasilisa suffered. For the rest of her life, Vasilisa weaved day and night for her stepmum and stepsisters. She never knew the warmth of a fire, or the feel of a bellyful of food, or the taste of hot chocolate. But she was safe as houses from the Baba Yaga. The end. I hope you enjoyed that story. Now, when I do a story, if you've listened to my channel in the past, my last story was a retake of Little Red Riding Hood. Which fairy tale character could Vasilisa be? Could it be Cinderella? Could it be Little Red Riding Hood? Or could it be Hansel for Hansel and Gretel? What do you think? Question 2. Which part of the story led you to believe it was this character? Maybe it was the mention of the stepfamily. Maybe it was a part of keeping bread in her pocket. Maybe it was a part of visiting Baba Yaga. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll be interested to see your thoughts. Thanks for reading and listening with me today. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you really enjoyed this story. I'll be doing another one very soon. Thanks for watching today. Bye bye for now.